Well, hello everyone and welcome to The Real World Blockchain. I'm Gauthier and I have Hugues with me today. Hi Hugues, how are you?
Hey Gauthier, I'm glad to be back.
All right, so today we're going to talk about a not so pleasant subject for our audience because they're stablecoin lovers and they sure love their coins pegged to a fiat currency. Some people in the crypto sector would say that this is an aberration. Some others would say, no, this is the future. We're not here to judge, but we're here to talk about a very important subject. Do you know, Hughes, that there are stablecoins that sometimes get depegged?
Of course. It made the news a few years ago, especially with Terra, right? So the UST depegging, which unfortunately brought it down to zero. That shook out a lot of investors and blockchain enthusiasts out of the industry, definitely. So absolutely, it's I guess it's a systemic issue that we have to deal with here in the industry.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing to talk about because stablecoins sometimes fail to hold their $1 if they're pegged to $1 or £1 if they're pegged to the British pound, and that's something risk managers cannot really ignore, and investors, of course, can be discouraged by this. So it's interesting because the stablecoins market at the moment is around $300 billion of market cap, but there are still risks around depegging and collateral and trust. And you spoke about Terra USD 2022, but actually we had in 2018, we had new bits who were also depegged, and our beloved USDC, the one that many people deemed to be too big to fail, was around 2023 also vulnerable, and some people said, well, because of algorithmic issues, it could be depegged with some specific attacks. So without digging too deep, it losing Terra USD wiped out roughly $50 billion in value. So that's not nothing. What do you think about the risk? Is it something that could be corrected? And this year the hit was even bigger because we had something coming from another chain, and this chain was Yala and their YU, so Yala USD. It was a Bitcoin-backed stable coin, and same weaknesses, so thin liquidity and cross-chain risk. And so just a few weeks ago in September 2025, they suffered a protocol exploit on Polygon that allowed an attacker to mint 120 million U tokens illicitly. So what do you think? Is it something that is an exception? Could this happen to USDC?
I'm not sure about USDC. I mean, the markets keep learning and evolving from those situations, right? So, for instance, after Terra's fall, we saw more of a shift towards over-collateralized models. For instance, you talk about USDC, Circle double down on the monthly attestations and cash reserve they have to show. Even new entrants like Ethena, USDE, they're experimenting with more hybrid hedging mechanisms to kind of try to maintain the dollar stability, right? So I don't know. I think it's encouraging. Like the market is learning from the past mistakes, both from an algorithmic point of view and from like the thin liquidity issue that we were talking about. So it can always happen, right? We don't know the kind of course, issue that we can face in the future. That's the whole thing. We can't predict the future. But I think that from a technological point of view and from also probably a regulatory point of view, we're evolving in the right direction. Especially as you said, now it's a $300 billion pretty much capitalization in stable coins. I think they make up 60%, I believe, of the on-chain like transactions these days. So it's really the backbone of the blockchain right now. With Bitcoin, of course, but the stablecoin is really the backbone. So I guess all the companies and the enterprises are working on with stablecoins. They just can't afford another Terra Luna, another crash of this magnitude, and they are doing whatever they can from a technical point of view and from a regulatory point of view to, of course, alleviate all these potential issues.
Well, it's interesting also to mention because some people think, oh, could this happen to USDC or USDT? So, for the record, regarding Yala, they were like, they had a Polygon bridge. So, of those 120 million U tokens, I think that around 5-6% of them were bridged to Ethereum and Solana, and the guy who did the hack then made $8 million out of it. So the price collapsed, obviously, and they had an 80% drop from their $1 peg. And so Yala halted the convert and bridge features to prevent everything and to prevent further damage. But the team asserted that no Bitcoin collateral was lost and their backing reserves were nice and everything. But still, even though if it's not a direct theft of collateral, that was something that moved their community. Could this happen? What happened in September 2025 to USDC? Well, first of all, Yala claimed to have fully restored liquidity and pegged. So they burned 30 million unauthorized U tokens and resumed normal operations. So that's something that shows that sometimes having centralization can have one of these benefits. But then again, if it were properly coded, they wouldn't need need centralization
From the start.
Now, is it something that could happen to USDC? Well, it's interesting. USDC is issued by Circle. They have a backing in fiat cash equivalents, so it can be different. They don't have the same bridges, not the same technology, and they're deeply integrated in many blockchains, DeFi protocols, and exchanges. They have much more budget and formal verification, and they even have new cross-chain protocols like CCTP, so the cross-chain transfer protocol. They have, much more awareness. So yes, let's analyze the threat vectors. If an unauthorized minting, like supply manipulation, it would require finding a bug in the USDC token contract or in the cross-chain logic. That is not something that people found, and they have. Like Circle has a lot of budget allocated to that. Is there a possibility to have a liquidity crunch? But well, same thing. It would require many holders to seek to redeem their USDC for fiat immediately. Like
At the same time.
a bank run. So that's something that can happen to Yala, probably.
To fiat, yeah.
Yeah, probably to fiat as well.
To fiat.
Of course. I remember because we're French. We're both French. I think a decade ago there was the bank run. So people said, "Oh, let's go. Everyone has to go to."
Oh yeah, that's true.
To the bank and withdraw their money in cash just to make them shit their pants. Sorry for that. And so yes, that's well. They could also have legal intervention, but yeah. Let's say USDC is much safer. And in any case, could they have a temporary depeg? Yes, maybe transient minor deviations. Catastrophic depegs? Well, probably more unlikely, but we never know. It's something that changes. But what do you think? How do you think that will impact the trust? Because it happened just a few weeks ago. Is it going to impact the trust of the heavy hitters, the trust in the heavy hitters of the stablecoin sector?
It's a hard question. I think now the stablecoin sector is getting so big that the major players in this industry, I mean, we don't have any other options, right? If we want a pegged currency or a pegged token, the stablecoin, we have to deal with the current technology. I think the regulatory approach is proving, it's positive in a way because it's now forcing, I mean, these big issuers to back the tokens with specific collaterals, with like cash reserves, etc. All the regulatory framework, both in the US and in Europe. We have MiCA in Europe, of course. In the US, I think there are like several non-partisan bills that are underway to kind of start to enhance the clarity and the trust in the tech. Because basically we are talking about potentially trillions of dollars being exchanged on chain in the next few years. We know that also Chainlink and other blockchains are trying to bring also stocks and other things on the market, so they will definitely need the stable coins to make that happen. So I mean, anything can happen, but I believe that it's getting better. It's getting better both from a regulatory and technical perspective. Of course, the minor players might be pegged, but for the major players like Circle now, I mean, even Tether, it's unlikely. I think it's unlikely that we see a major crash. Maybe a like minor temporary depegging, maybe.
Well, this raises a question. It's always hard for people to understand how. It's hard for people to understand sometimes how things can happen. Like how is it possible to, to hack a system, because every time a system is deemed hack-proof by experts, from time to time there's some guy on the internet who's able to hack it and destroy it properly. So yeah, sometimes it's let's not be pretentious and tell that we're 100% sure of what happens.
Absolutely.
Because, the same way as the stock trading market, there are so many people who said, yes, we are plateauing permanently, so we're so high at the moment, and that was in April 2020, 1929. So yeah, let's be careful about that. Still,
Absolutely.
there are factual things that are important. Yala's hack didn't happen only because of one factor. It happened because of many factors. First of all, because there's a $119 million of market cap. For the record, Circle's USDC is capped at $75 billion at the moment. So that means that USDC is roughly 1,500 times bigger than Yala. So that means that the liquidity crisis is not happening the same way on USDC. It's not the problem at the moment. So that's one of the first things. The second problem is that Yala doesn't have that budget for formal methods and verification and for pen testing, which Circle has, and they're younger as well. So yes, all of these details can already enlighten us a little bit about the level of risk. Does that mean that Circle is riskless? No, this is by no means not what we're saying, but obviously it's the two situations are very different. So I understand what you're saying about the trust, and the question that it raises to finish this episode is, do you think this would change also the trust people have in small actors? So basically, would it bring people to invest in small stable coins, altcoins, alt stable coins, or do you think that it will sadly centralize the power into a few issuers of stable coins?
It's a very good question, because usually why would people go to the small actors? Because they expect to get a reward of some sort, to gain an appreciation or anything. But in the case of stable coins, the price will always stay 1-to-1, right? That's the whole goal. So maybe in the case of stable coins, the classic monopolistic, I'd say, rules of the markets might get into place. So I'm actually not against monopoles. Like, if they are naturally occurring, you provide better tech, a more stable product. In the case of stablecoins, so Circle is now well entrenched. It's pretty much accepted anywhere. Before that, there was Tether, so they had some issues in Europe, but basically they are the main contender here. So I'm not sure. Why would people then take a risk? Well, there will always be degens, right? So some guys will want to try out their latest chain and get like faster transactions on the microchain or something like that. My opinion is, I'm quite optimistic about the stablecoins, right? So, but my opinion is that probably the main actors will get the largest part of the cake, so to speak, and the minor actors will kind of rotate around those. But overall, I mean, the depeggings, they are painful, but I think they're also productive, right? So they kind of expose the weaknesses in this tech, in these markets. So they drive improvements. Obviously, when there was just Tether and no Circle, we always talked about USDT. Now there's USDC. Who knows what will happen in the next 2-3 years? Maybe there will be an even bigger market player. I'm not sure.
This is really an interesting take. Thank you so much, Hugues, and we'll see where it goes. But everyone, yes, see in the description all the links that we posted about this case, the Yala case that happened only 2 weeks ago, and it had a happy ending, of course, because well, no, not of course, but happily it had a happy ending. Fortunately, it had a happy ending. The peg was stabilized, and the hacker still has some of the money on the Polygon bridge, but not on Solana, if I read that correctly. So that's still in progress, but they basically corrected the problem. The peg came back. So as we can see, it also shows that even a small actor, much smaller than USDC, can be resilient as well. So that should also give trust in such an ecosystem for the investors, showing that sometimes problems happen, but we can solve them, and we have not everything is lost if things happen poorly, and we have solutions as well. Thank you so much, Hugues.
Cheers, Gauthier. Thank you very much
Cheers, everyone.
for having me.
This was The Real World Blockchain. This episode brought to you by Web3 Enabler, the first and only crypto payment solution on Salesforce. Cheers, everyone.